So, the Black Prince. When I first got this thing, I hated it so much I rage sold it after about 20 games. I actually bought it back recently because I figured maybe it's time to finally get that Conqueror. And by the time I was approaching the end of the grind, I was actually really enjoying it somehow. My main problems with it are just its bad speed and its low alpha gun isn't really suited to doing what the heavy tank does at this tier. The Conqueror does well because the Conqu's 120 is I think actually comparable to the American 120s. So it has lowish alpha, but it has good DPM, good accuracy, good pen. The 17 pounder is kind of bizarre, temperamental, I suppose I should say. I mean, if you get hit by a conch, it's still a pretty sizable punch out of your hit points. If you get hit by a 17 pounder, you've got like 1400 hit points, you get hit for 150-ish. Barely even notice. So, I kind of foolishly stopped there, looking for a shot on the DLC. If they'd had anybody positioned on the E3 corner there, he would have been able to hit me, but they didn't. Because apparently their team are idiots. So you can see the entirety of my team beat me into the town here. This is something you get used to in the Black Prince. It just isn't fast. 20 kilometers an hour is its absolute maximum speed unless you're going downhill with something very fast pushing you. What it does do very well is tank hits when it's top tier and fire on the move. Now, I say when it's top tier, if you're in a tier 8 or 9 match, you're not really going to have much effective armor. Especially since the Black Prince's armor is generally flat. It relies on thickness, not on angle. And when you start running into high pen guns, it no longer works. So you can see though, I bounced a number of shells there. Off my side armor no less, and now I see this tiger here. I know there's a T-29 behind him, but I decide I may as well just dive on them since I can't get anything done from where I am currently. So after a brief hesitation I decide, fuck it, and drive straight across the street. Thankfully the AMX and IS are distracted, so I get away with it. Wait until the tiger backs into the open here. You can see he's not paying attention to me, so I just roll around the corner. And my first shot whips badly into the wall next to me. So I now circle around him. When the tiger was buffed, its turret traverse was nerfed, but its hull traverse was buffed, so I knew I could get around him while he was not rotating his hull. And then, I don't know what he was doing here. He might have been lagging really badly, or he might just be profoundly retarded. Either way, it was easy enough for me to just wander in and clean him up. And now I charge into the T-29, who doesn't appear to know where to shoot me. Once again, he bounces. I'm going for the machine gun port where I can because the 17 pounder, like I said, is kind of temperamental at times. It doesn't always pen the fronts of T-29s. It happens to hit high on the plate. It's too angled for it, it'll bounce off. So aiming for the machine gun port if you have shots of it is always a handy thing with T-29s and anything with a T-29 type hull. So there's another 29 here, but he's completely behind a hill to me. The Black Prince is quite low to the ground, so you can get away with stuff like this. You can see the enemy KV-13, who's the only good player on their team really, I guess their IS-2 is okay, is off in the east being chased by 2 heavy tanks and a tank destroyer. So they got a lot of their team camping down the bottom of the east side as well, which is good because it let us roll over town quite easily. is why you don't send that many tanks east, and especially why you don't count. If you're going to throw a lot of tanks into a flank, you have to push. You cannot just sit there. So you can see the front of the KV-1's turret's giving me some trouble. It's because I'm hitting this guy out now. He pops up exposing himself. I don't know why he's reversing like that. He might have been in arty mode trying to get arc on somebody, I don't know. Quick snapshot of AOC-46 actually hits it. You can see this annoying vertical jump when you're trying to shoot at somebody who's skylined against the back of the map. Because what happens is when this is associated with the reticle trying to predict range and adjust for drop. When you point your aim at the edge of the map, there's no range input, so it'll just drop back to its normal position and stop computing the super elevation to hit the tank. So say you've got somebody on a hill 300 meters away and then beyond them there's just sky. If you take your cursor off them to say lead the moving target, or if they happen to move just a little bit and your cursor bounces off, it immediately drops down to where it would be if they were right in front of you. It's really irritating. I think the only way they're going to fix this is when they finally implement the option to actually manually apply super elevation. I'm not sure how they're going to do it, like if they're going to show a elevation marker like War Thunder does, it sort of gives you the sweet spot, or if they're going to force players to actually figure it out themselves. I expect it will be the former, simply because the people who play this game are too stupid to figure out how much they need to elevate their gun by, even through trial and error, let alone understanding the arc of their shells. Might be a feature worth turning on actually, I'm kind of curious about it. So I was looking for the last shot on that guy, but I didn't get it. Not a bad match. 3,500 damage in this thing, and I managed to survive it just because I was top tier and everybody was bouncing off me.